Sports, 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 sports.
Hey there, sports fans. Welcome to Sportsball, part of the SPDM Crew podcast. We talk about sports related topics, but we focus on you, the fan, and what you like, whether it's a sport, team, event, sporting news, or athlete. This week, we are talking about, we're going to make some predictions on our Christmas Day games, which for the NFL, they are doing a couple Christmas Day games. They are doing a day after Christmas game, some Saturday games. It's kind of been all over the place for the NFL, but we've got two games on Christmas Day. We've got Chiefs versus Steelers. Chiefs are pretty banged up. Steelers are playing for the division. So I am predicting that the Steelers are going to win this, only barely. Mahomes has not looked very good most of the season. So I do predict that Patrick Mahomes will have like an okay game, but at the same time, he's definitely going to be somebody who the Chiefs need to step up in a big way. He's going to be hobbling around, but I think the Steelers are going to win this. Conversely, on the other side of this day is that there is Ravens versus Texans, and this is a game also that the Ravens definitely need to win because right now, currently in the standings for the AFC North, which is traditionally one of the teams that are one of the divisions that is historically been a bit more competitive. Maybe not lately because the Ravens have been running away with it, but the Steelers and the Ravens, they're 10 and 5. They're both going to be in the playoffs, but one's going to get a home game and one's going to have to travel. So this is where I think one of these teams has to make it happen. So I think they're both going to win, but I think the Ravens are definitely going to be the beneficiary of that. The Texans, they don't really have anything to play for. They've already wrapped up their division, so they're fine. It's kind of the same problem that the Chiefs have because they've already wrapped up the division and the number one seed all throughout the playoffs. So yeah, I'm predicting that both AFC North teams are going to win. Shifting gears to the NBA. So there's five NBA games, and this slate was interesting probably at the beginning of the year, but then some of these teams have kind of fallen off, and some of these teams are performing better than expected. So the first game of this slate is the San Antonio Spurs versus the New York Knicks. And Victor Wembanyama, this is going to be his first game on Christmas Day, I believe. And I think for him specifically, this is going to be a showcase at Madison Square Garden. I'm predicting Victor Wembanyama is going to have a fantastic game on Christmas Day. And I think he is not single-handedly going to torch the Knicks because there's not going to be a whole lot of people who can guard Wembanyama on the Spurs, especially on the Knicks, because Cat's not going to be guarding him because he's an okay defender, but he's not up to. I don't think he's up to snuff when it comes specifically to Victor Wembanyama because he's one of the most unique players maybe ever. So I'm gonna actually pull the upset on this, and I think the Spurs are gonna take this. Barely, but I think the Spurs are gonna take this. The next game on the slot or on the docket is the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Dallas Mavericks. And this is an example. These middle games are featuring teams. One team is doing okay, and the other team, well, the anyways, one team is not doing great and the other is doing what they need to do to survive. The Timberwolves have had a kind of a disappointing start to the season. They're starting to put it together now, so we'll be in good shape. But I think the Mavericks are going to take this, assuming that Luka plays, assuming that he's healthy enough to play. The next game is the Philadelphia 76ers versus the Boston Celtics. I think the Celtics are going to take this, and this is going to be a blowout because the 76ers have not had good injury luck this year. They've actually had a horrendous season when it comes to injuries. So I'm thinking that the Boston Celtics should take this pretty handily, but I think the 76ers are at least going to try to play for pride, but I don't think they stand a chance in this game because this season has literally been the season for hell for them. The this game, the next game is kind of interesting because it's the Los Angeles Lakers, because of course you need to have the Lakers on Christmas Day, despite the fact that the Lakers are horrible right now, versus the Golden State Warriors. Golden State Warriors have not had a good go of things recently, so not really sure how this shakes out with LeBron starting to slow down a little bit. JJ Redick is under a lot of scrutiny right now as the head coach, which is a little unfair, but I get it as well. And then the Golden State Warriors, they are trying to integrate Dennis Schroeder into the mix. I think this is going to be kind of a slog fest, even though this is a game that I think a lot of people were really looking forward to. I think LeBron's going to have a great game because it's a nationally televised game, but I think Steph is going to show out as well, so I'm going to predict the Warriors win. This last game is actually going to be rather interesting because it's the Denver Nuggets versus the Phoenix Suns. And assuming that KD plays and assuming that KD is okay, I think KD is operating at an MVP level right now, and I think he's doing really well this season. I think the Suns are overachieving because Mike Budenholzer has established a really good culture there, and I think that they'll be in good shape. Jokic, on the other hand, Jokic is single-handedly dragging the Denver Nuggets into respectability in the Western standings. So I think this is going to probably be the best game of the night, and I think the Phoenix Suns are just going to eke it out just barely. That's for kind of just Christmas Day games in general. I remember when I was younger that I didn't like the food that my cousins or my uncle made for lunch or for breakfast. I got so mad that I asked my mom to go to McDonald's to get me food, and she's like, "It's Christmas Day. There's nothing open right now." And I was like, "Can you take me anyways and just show it to me?" And I remember when McDonald's was like closed on Christmas and when everything was closed on Christmas. So on one end, I am grateful that there's NBA games and NFL games this year on Christmas. But on another end, I kind of feel like it's a little icky because it kind of represents everything about the commercialization of Christmas that people kind of can't stand. So it's I'm still going to watch the games, so I'm part of the problem, but I think it is kind of icky that we are making NBA players and NFL players also just make the most of Christmas Day just for the sake of ratings and views and all of that stuff. But those are my thoughts on the NBA and NFL Christmas Day games. Are you looking forward to any of them? Let us know in the comments. That's going to do it for this episode of Sports Ball. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe to anything and everything SPDM Crew, wherever you get your podcast. Join us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, YouTube, and Blue Sky at SPDM Crew. Check out our website at spdmcrew.com. A shout out to High Flyer Creative Studios for making our awesome logo. Greatly appreciate their support. And if you have any need for marketing, logo, or brand standards, contact them at highflyercreative.com. If you've got a podcast idea or you're interested in being part of the SPDM crew as a guest or collaborating, email us at spdmcrew@gmail.com. Until next time, pain heals, chicks dig scars, glory lasts forever.